It's a philosophy of going the extra mile. It's the do unto others. It's part of our mission statement is to follow the golden rule, and that really breaks down to treating other people as you want to be treated, giving the kind of service that you want to give. People don't talk about average service. People only talk about really great service or really lousy service. We want our customers to talk about us, but we want them to talk about us, our great service. That's what we're trying to get them to talk about. Average service, nobody talks about. We want them to talk about our great service. And we do a lot of things. Our employees look for ways to kind of go over the top. And in this company, they're rewarded when they do that. I hope there's hundreds of examples out there, and I hope there are 100 more still to come.
Good evening. Welcome to the City Commission's first of the month commission meeting, which is held at 5:30 as opposed to the normal 3 o'clock on weekends. And I love seeing this kind of a crowd. Most of the time, we would have this many people, we'd be scared to death up here. It's called the police department for more officers. I know what's brought this crowd here, and I'm so glad to see all of them. If I could open this, have Commissioner Dr. Eads, Dr. Commissioner Eads, lead us in prayer, please.
You bow with me. Dear Father, we've got a wonderful city here. And we've taken a few challenges. We've prevailed. And thank heavens for our wonderful city employees. And thank heavens for all the citizens and their patience and their support. And the ability to just roll up our sleeves and work together. We've had a great couple of weeks, and we've seen the years of experience of the people we have working at the city of Amarillo just become productive and more successful. Father, thank you for our employees, for our fire, and for our police, and as I said, for the people of this city. Father, thank you for our military and our help elsewhere. Thank you for our help in the legislature, people leading our communities, and even for those folks in Washington. Lord, thank you for what they're trying to do for us. And above all, thank you for the moisture. We've needed it, and we could use some more, and we'll even take the snow because, by golly, they know how to do it right here. That happens. Watch over us, keep us, and bring us back next week. In Father's name we pray. Amen.
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Please proceed. The real mayor is out of town, so I'm acting as mayor pro tem, so bear with me. I'm not near as talented or experienced as Mr. Harpo is. But I will call our meeting to order, and the first item on the agenda is the minutes of our meeting held last Wednesday, February 27, 2013. Are there any additions or corrections to those minutes? Seeing none, I'll accept the motion.
Mayor Pro Tem, I move to approve the minutes as presented.
Second.
Been moved and seconded for approval of minutes. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Approved 4-0. Item number 2 is ordinance number 7394. This is the first reading of an ordinance changing the zoning of Lot 1, Block 1, Ohitas Little Acre Unit Number 1 in Section 173, Block 2, ABN Academy, in the vicinity of Tradewin Street and Southeast 46th Avenue, from agricultural district to agricultural district with a specific use permit for a placement of a Type A manufacturing home. This is recommended for approval by a 4-0 vote of the Planning and Zoning Commission. The City Commission previously had tabled this ordinance at its February 20th, 2013 meeting. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak to this ordinance? Yes, sir, come forward, and if you would please give us your name and your home address, and you're limited to 3 minutes in your presentation.
I won't take that long, Your Honor. My name is Armando Ojeda, and I am the owner of that property. And I don't really know what I came to, because I was told that there might be some questions asked of me, and that's what I'm here for, sir.
We appreciate you being here. We appreciate what you do with this property that puts taxes on our tax roll. And I think that the questions, and there wasn't necessarily any questions, but there was some things that we wanted to clear up. It's the reason that it had been delayed. But I think that's all been taken care of. So if there are any, we'll call you back up.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Well, what was your address, Armando?
At present, 2208 South Wilson Street, Amarillo, Texas.
Thank you very much, Judge. Anyone else like to speak to this particular ordinance? Anyone on the commission? I would entertain a motion.
Mayor, I move we approve ordinance number 7394.
I second.
Moved and seconded for the approval of ordinance number 7394. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? That passes 4-0. So it was all approved. Item 3 is some appointments on some boards and commissions, specifically 3 boards. The Amarillo Hospital District, which is a 2-year term. This Claudette Dove has been serving on that, and they have moved from Amarillo, and we commend her for her service and appreciate it very much. Then we have the Comprehensive Plan Implementation Advisory Committee. Mr. Leon Church, who was recently or last fall elected to the Potter County Commissioners Court, and has resigned that position and will be replaced. And then the Texas Panhandle Centers. Do we have any nominations for these boards and commissions?
Mr. Mayor, I have some nominations. For the Amarillo Hospital District, we want to thank Claudette Duff for her service and submit the name of Dr. Ramon to replace Ms. Duff. And on the Comprehensive Plan Implementation Advisory Committee, to replace Leon Church, Steve Rogers. And the Texas Panhandle Centers, we would ask that Linda Bryan be reappointed.
Thank you. Any other nominations? Do we have a second on those nominations?
I second that motion.
Any other discussion? All in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Those replacements or those positions are approved 4-0. The consent agenda. We have an award of prefabricated restroom buildings, the purchase of open horizontal breathing air compressor, approve a change order on rehabilitation of Hillside Road, and then a lease approval for the Mary E. Bivens building, the Chamber of Commerce building there in Depot. Any discussion? Anybody want to speak to any of these items that are on the agenda? Anybody else? Oh, yes, ma'am.
I'm Beth Duke, Executive Director of Center City of Amarillo, and I live at 3141 West 28th Avenue. And I just want to say, for people who haven't been to the Mary E. Bivens building in a while, of course, growing up, I remember it was our public library, and we crawled all over it and learned about books. And this space we are wanting to move into, currently Center City leases offices from the chamber at the back of the first floor. And this would be moving us to the front of the building in a portion of the space that was vacated by the Amarillo Symphony when they recently moved to the Amarillo building, also downtown, but at 301 South Pole. So that, if that kind of gets it in your mind, we would like to move closer to the front door.
Anyone else like to speak to any of these items on the consent agenda? Commission?
Mr. Mayor, I believe that on B it says Fire Station 11, but it really is Fire Station 13 for the open horizontal breathing air compressor. There's a typo. Okay.
There's 2 new units going to the central fire station number 7, and those that were in those 2 locations are going to the fire training facility and fire station 13. Any other comments? I would entertain a motion.
Mayor, I move approval of the consent agenda as presented with.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Tim, that's right, I just get up here in time. I'm Bill Mosley.
Yes, sir.
Say, I just got a question about the...
Name and address, please, sir.
Oh, yeah, Bill Mosley. I live over on 3703 South Harrison Street. I've been up here before, as you know. But on this consent agenda concerning the change out here on Hillside Road, isn't that work already completed between Bell and Western? Is it going to be torn up
This is
again?
actually on the 58th part, and I might ask the city manager to speak to this specifically. But this is on the phase 3 part of that, the part that would be, in essence.
Yeah, east of Western, between Western and Georgia, supposedly, unless they're going to tear that up again. I just wanted, that's the only question in there.
Certainly, Mr. Mosier, the name that you see on there is the contract name for that. It actually goes from Bell all the way over to Georgia. This particular change order is for the piece just east of that intersection there at Western and continuing around about to where the YMCA building is.
I assumed that was probably the case, but I thought I'd ask anyway. Much obliged for the information.
Yes, sir. Thank you for your concern. Any other questions from the commission? I would entertain it.
I'll second that.
That's for the approval of the consent agenda. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Consent agenda is approved for zip. And we now are going to be rightfully entertained with a presentation of the City of Amarillo's response and recovery efforts from our recent snow. City Manager.
Thank you, Mayor. Get this to start up here. Kind of go through this. Of course, the main focus of this presentation is sitting in our audience today. The opportunity for us to recognize all of our responders that came out in it. And I guess we'll start here. Rumor has it that might have been Mr. Starbuck in that car. But once we dug it out, that was actually the police chief in his new car. Okay, next slide, please. What happened? Of course, this has been well discussed and well documented. The term historic blizzard was one coined by the National Weather Service. They did that at 5 a.m. on Monday morning, so at that point they already knew we were really in for it. What were we in for? Over 19 total inches of snow, largest single day of snow in the month of February in our history, and the second largest snowfall for a single calendar day. More importantly, you had 14 straight hours where the official visibilities were below 1 mile. And in fact, by about 2 o'clock that morning, we were reporting visibilities in the 50 to 100 foot range, and we'll show you some photographs of that. The 12 straight hours of wind at 30 miles an hour or above is really what turns into a blizzard and really what made this one that much more difficult. There were 5 hours within those 14 where the wind never dropped below 40 miles per hour, with our peak at 75 miles an hour early Monday. And actually the highest recorded wind in the entire storm was 77 miles an hour, that being at Pantex. And both of those gusts were recorded in the 10 to 11 a.m. frame. We started early on this, and we would typically do. Friday, National Weather Service had a coordination call, and our OEM, which is Office of Emergency Management, began pushing that information out to us. Saturday, there was another effort, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, to do so again. By very early Sunday, the National Weather Service recognized the storm was bigger than they thought and would sit farther down in the Texas Panhandle than originally thought, thus issuing the blizzard warning. We jumped into it in earnest Sunday afternoon at 3 o'clock. That started with the Weather Service. We did that and then continued into a discussion with the city. TXDEM is the Texas Division of Emergency Management, and of course TxDOT's Texas Department of Transportation. We held a roundtable with those groups. Then we ended that and went straight into our coordination effort here at the city, where we break down all of the division and the department level assignments and go through our resource check. Do we have what we need? Is it ready? Staffing arranged, fuel, literally right down to the windshield washing fluid that would go in our vehicles. 9 p.m. Sunday is when our EOC stood up. That was intentionally done to coincide with Texas DEM opening what's called the DEC, and that is at your Texas Department of Public Safety here in Amarillo. At the same time, Texas Department of Transportation opened theirs. Blizzard began at 0041 Monday morning. Here's your 0 to 50 feet visibilities. We stayed busy throughout that day. Fortunately for myself and my senior staff, we got to stay warm. These folks out in front of you, there were ones in the teeth of it. 5 a.m. coordination call, situation report, continuing on with our city efforts. By 9 that morning, TxDOT had declared all major interstates and state highways into and out of Amarillo, Texas closed. In fact, by that point, all of those interstates and state highways were closed to the majority of the Texas Panhandle. 9 o'clock, we again went back to work with the DPS and the Department of Transportation. We began to activate warming stations. These were places that stranded motorists could be brought into, let them stay warm, use the phone, do what they needed to do until additional help could arrive. There were 3 of those. Continued on, additional weather service coordination calls through the afternoon, situation reports from your EOC. Followed that up again with our staff coordination, our meetings, our calls, looking at what we were doing, where was our equipment, where was our fuel, what were we doing, and more important, where was our staff, and were they still all in good shape. That afternoon, that evening, the Weather Service did cancel the blizzard warning. Those that had a chance to look, once it broke, and we had a very pretty afternoon, but we were left with a phenomenal amount of snow, and in this case, drifting, that we had to deal with. For Monday night, continuing on to Tuesday night, we continued our efforts. By Tuesday night, we were having our coordination calls with the schools. That's important, and it's a pretty major deal. We shift from working on those arterial streets and trying to dig those open to trying to help the schools be ready such that their campuses can open. And just to give you a quick picture of what that takes, there are 63 school campuses within the city limits of Amarillo. And this group that you see here touched every one of them by Wednesday morning. Again, continued focus on our resources, our staffing, and moving out of that response phase, that period of time where we're trying to find the stranded motorists, dig them out, get them loose, and move into full-blown recovery and try to get the city back to normal. Next. Here's some pictures of those limited visibilities that we've accumulated. These photos were all provided by various members of your staff. So these are things that us and our team personally saw and witnessed as we went through. Next. Here's a few more. The one on the top left, that's that new meter greeter lobby at the airport. And, pretty fascinating. The picture on the lower right-hand side, that's one of the airport's four-wheel drives and one of the plow truck stuff as they're trying to handle what they need to handle during the storm. The lower left, that's the view when we poked our heads out of the emergency operations center, probably like groundhogs that morning. We'll point out, you'll meet some of these folks later. We kept a team from the Parks Department, and a team from the Facilities Department stationed at the EOC to try to keep that open so we could get the people in and out that we needed to. They did that through the entirety of the storm. You'll hear some more about that a little bit later. Top left, what one of the fire trucks looked like that morning. The tape that you see on that vehicle, as the police and the fire groups were working their way through the stranded motorist calls, visibilities were so bad it became difficult to know, is that car newly stuck? Is that the car we were sent to get, or one that's between us and them? So we put the tape on that to signify that that vehicle had been checked and nobody was there. Upper right-hand corner, that was 7th Street over by your Chase Bank building, and that's after they dug through it on one pass. Bottom left, that was actually taken right outside of Portales and was submitted by Excel for us, and not in this show, but we have some out of the Woodward area that are equally impressive. The bottom right, that's Mr. CNN. We were told to spell it. I think it's important to realize, if you look at the news today, everybody's beginning to get nervous because Chicago's supposed to get 10 inches of snow. When Amarillo got 19.1, we did a little bit more than that. We were featured on the CNN morning news show. So Mayor Pro Tem Sims did that. We fielded media calls from as far away as California.
It's 6:30 in the morning.
Hard time. As with most things that occur, Mr. Starbuck and his staff have a defined set of standard response plans. Those, of course, were implemented, but it didn't take long to realize this was going to be something above and beyond that. So we began to take the resources that were available to us and shift them into different areas of need. Of course, your street department is primarily responsible first for those arterial streets, and they were out on their way through that. Police and fire, search and rescue, going through the stranded motorist calls, listening to all the pleas we were making from the EOC and from the police department and from the Mayor Pro Tem to try to encourage people, don't get out on the street if you don't have to. Fire department, they of course had every piece of equipment they own out and active in the field. And they took the Wildland engines, which are the large 4x4s, and you see the picture there that says Wildland 3, and used those as basically in-house rescue and recovery vehicles. They worked on rescuing our equipment, our vehicles. We pulled numerous AMR ambulances through the city during the teeth of that storm, otherwise folks were not going to get ambulances to them. And of course, stranded motorists. The city owns a wrecker, your municipal garage, which to my knowledge has not been used in this role in a snow event, staffed the wrecker, and we had our large wrecker out trying to keep some of our equipment free where it was available to be used. Parks Department, throughout this storm, they were assigned to keep your critical facilities in Amarillo open. We talked a little bit about the EOC. They also put a skid loader at the police department to try to keep that up and running. We took the remainder of their equipment through the middle of the storm and used it to try to keep the fire stations going. There are 12 fire stations, but only 11 of them are in town, the others at the airport. The storm got bad enough at one point that with equipment parked at station number 2, we couldn't keep station number 2 open because of the blowing snow. They were able to get it open and get that equipment out. It was redeployed to another station here in town, so at no time did Amarillo have less than the availability of the full force of the fire department. We just had to do it with one less fire station until that storm broke. That's very much an expanded role for the Parks Department. They did a phenomenal job of that. Utilities division. Typically their equipment, their personnel is used to keep our public parking lots and our public facilities cleaned out and open. We didn't get around to that much later in this event. 8 of their machines were put under the street department's assignment, and when we say that their responsibility was to dig out, that's what they were doing. A picture you saw on 7th Street was one example of where they had to dig their way through. Very pleased, very proud. All 3 of the plants, which would be the water treatment plant and the 2 wastewater treatment plants, remain fully operational with on-site staffing. And what that means is a lot of those men and women, once they got to work, couldn't leave work until they were able to go. You'll see some plant pictures in a minute that show you why. The municipal garage. This time we took our fuel truck, set it into play, and in lieu of bringing equipment in and out of the service center to fuel it, which we typically will do during the shift changes, we chased those pieces of equipment around the city with the fuel truck just to absolutely minimize every moment we could when the equipment wasn't working. Municipal garage opened up Sunday night and stayed open throughout the entirety of the event. Their service vehicles, tire truck, etc., were all staffed and used quite heavily. Put in there twice. There we go. Emergency management, with that really not being Mr. Starbuck stuck in the drift, he and his team came to work and they stayed. The EOC was open for 46 straight hours with 5 of their staff dedicated to that. Numerous situation reports, conference calls. They ran what's called the Web EOC system. That's an online bulletin board where all the different responders can keep track of an event. And they also worked with Randall and Potter counties. We are the Amarillo Potter Randall Office of Emergency Management. So they had those duties going as well. Your public safety team. Police department had 103 personnel dedicated to field operations throughout the storm. Ended up crunching most of those folks into 15 four-wheel drive vehicles, many of which had to come from other city departments. Really proud of the next one. They made 2 arrests while responding to burglaries. And I'm told it's included when the vehicle is stuck in the snow with people in it, their tire tracks go into the business it's just been broken into. That very well could be the perpetrator. Men and women acted great, and we got both of them in those cases. Fire department had 17 personnel on duty through the event, operating 20 vehicles. And when we talk about vehicles for the fire department, those are the big ones. Those stayed out with the help of the 2 wildland engines and the city wrecker. I think they were able to keep all of their stuff moving, all maybe but one case. 153 incidents responded to by the fire department. Emergency Communications Center took 6,279 calls during this time period. And while most of what would be the normal course of business on Sunday afternoon and Monday had slowed way down, the actual call volume is up by about 12 calls per hour through that period. Again, mainly your stranded motorists. Next. Street Department. 90 employees worked that event. They cleared 249 travel miles. So 1 mile of arterial, that's 2 travel miles. And they kept that going. 41 different pieces of equipment required to do that. That's their equipment. That's not counting what was used by Parks Department or by the Utilities Division. The garage had 17 folks on duty. Again, we ran our fuel truck, our wrecker, the 2 service trucks, and a 4-wheel drive SUV that was used to shuttle people around. Within the city proper, not counting the airport, about 9,500 gallons of fuel were expended from Sunday evening through Wednesday morning. That's diesel and unleaded both, but large amount of fuel. Utilities, the water treatment plant, Mr. West had 12 of his folks out there throughout that event. They also helped us with shuttling people. Water distribution had 31, water distribution and wastewater collection, 31 employees, and again, that was their 8 backhoes that were being used. The 2 treatment plants, each had their employees, and you're going to see a picture, I think, is of the River Road, which will show you why once they got there, they were there. Next. Parks tallies 52 people. They spread 500 pounds of different snow melting compounds on our public parking lots. 54 pieces of equipment or vehicles. Again, they were assigned to the street department. That was a new role for them. They did well. Airport, 32 employees, and I can tell you that every one of them, once they got there, had to stay there. Of course, the airport has a dorm that's actually left over from the Air Force, where those folks will stay during one of these. 6 plows, 2 blowers, a big front end loader, a skid loader, all 5 of their 4-wheel drives. They tally about 725 gallons of fuel used just at the airport. Facilities department, 19 employees, and they spread 6,000 pounds of snow melt, and they do all that by hand. We have some of those representatives here. They did a great job. And again, they kept the EOC, the police station, the dispatch center open and accessible for us. You take all that and you roll it together. There were 509 city employees, counting the center staff, that were dedicated to this event. 174 pieces of equipment or vehicles. 6,700 pounds of snow melt, over 7,000 gallons of diesel, 3,000 gallons of unleaded. Street department dispensed over 250 tons of sand and salt throughout the city, and their liquid de-icers that they used were over 5,000 pounds thereof. That picture on the lower right there, that's what Hillside looks like after they had to dig their way through on that. Okay, just because I can't help being a bit of a geek, I asked Michael Rice to tell me if 19 inches of snow had fallen straight and level, and we put that on 1 mile of our arterial street, so picture the width of an arterial street, 5 lanes. That's 21,000 cubic yards of snow on that 1 mile. And to give you a sense of what it would take to move that snow, most of our big city dump trucks will hold 12 yards of it at one time. A lot of snow. Wasn't all in the same place, but it was all out there. Just a few other pictures. You see one of our plants there on the top right, how high those drifts are on that chain link fence. Roll pickups on the left, those got to stay there. Nobody bothered digging them out till Wednesday morning, but we didn't have anything to do with them either. On the right there, you see a response from the police department. Lower right, you see a dig out going on with one of the firefighters and one of the police officers. And the picture in the lower left, that's your snow fighting equipment that lives at the airport. I think most of the commissions had an opportunity to see and even operate some of that, but this time went into action for real. We've shown you the big snow blower and how rarely it's used. Well, it was used throughout this event. The big tanker-looking truck in the middle, that puts the liquid de-icers down on the runway so the planes can get in and out. Top left's another one of your plants, as is the top right. The snow that was built up there. Bottom left, that was Polk Street Monday morning during the midst of the storm. And on the bottom right, that's the drift, the 10th Street underpass, which is just a couple of blocks from here. Somebody, I don't know, street or utilities or park, somebody dug their way through that to get that underpass back open. Mayor, that ends the show. With your permission, could I call on the directors and have them recognize the members of their staff that are here?
Absolutely.
All right. Well, in no particular order, but it's the way I scribbled them down when it struck my memory. We'll start with the Office of Emergency Management. Kevin Starbuck, if you recognize your folks, please.
I'd like to ask Maribel Martinez, Laura Blunt, and James McCormick from Emergency Management and Communications that came down to be recognized. You guys stand up. In addition, we had other staff members, Alice Healy in our office, Teresa West working from home. So pretty much everybody on our staff, the operators, certainly we're keeping in touch with every one of our staff with response. We appreciate it.
Maribel, did I see a desk with your nameplate on it and a bunk bed with a liquid bag on it?
There's some rumor floating around that Kevin's predecessor, Mr. Kelly, secured those cots in a World War II surplus sale, and we still haven't used them today. Okay, next I'm going to, Emmett, are you here?
I'm here, sir.
He came back to town.
Where are you, Emmett? Oh, there you are. Emmett, come forward, please. I know that you've got representatives of the plants, water distribution, wastewater collections, so if you would walk us through that and ask them to stand.
First, I need to confess that I was in Corpus Christi.
Okay, all right, here's the deal. Now, the truth is, though, that car in that picture, that's actually Emmett. And we did not dig it out. We left it until he came back.
Well, I think, the different departments of the Utilities Division have already been recognized by the city manager. And I would just like to have everybody from Utilities Division stand up. I'm not especially now, please. All right, there we go. This represents all of the departments within the Utilities Division, which we have about 9 departments all included. Anyway, I'd like to just let them call off their names across here and let them recognize themselves, since I wasn't here to help.
And your group, please, when you do so.
Jeff Warren, Water Production.
Harry West, Surface Water Treatment.
Jessica Brewer, Surface Water Treatment.
Gary Smart, Water Production.
Daniel Wright, Wastewater Collection.
Ricky Fields, Wastewater Collection.
Philip Sowers, Water Distribution.
Justin Newport, Water Distribution.
Floyd Hartman, Director of Utilities Office.
Kirk Paul Hamus, Wastewater Treatment.
Randall I. Smith, Wastewater.
Francis Gibbons, Wastewater.
Bruce Walshine, Water Department.
Tim Lone, Director of Utilities Office.
Michael Garvey, River Road Wastewater Treatment.
Tommy Langham, River Road Wastewater Treatment Plant.
Chris Beard, River Road Wastewater Treatment Plant.
All right, well, thank you. I'm very proud of you.
Emmett.
We got more? Oh, goodness.
Paul Braddock, Water Transmission.
Dwayne Mansell, Surface Water Treatment.
Clay Offlander, Surface Water Treatment. Is there anybody else hiding back there? They took care of the thing with the leadership of Floyd and Tim Lone here. I think, from what I've heard, seamlessly. In fact, that wasn't even necessary. So, thank you.
They did a great job, and they did not argue with each other when they had to spend the night together in the OC. Okay, we'll go to Parks next, and I saw Rod somewhere. Here he comes. Rod?
All right, I got 10 of our park maintenance personnel. First of all, Clint Stoddard, our park maintenance superintendent, kind of the coach of our whole team here anyway. Brent Bean, I see Brent's here, with his wife Shelley Bean. Victor Cardenas, back there. Robert Volt. Carrie Younger, yep, here's Carrie. Greg Gant. Bill Williams. And Tracy White. We got Shelley. I think that's 10 of our top supervisors here. Put a number of hours in. Obviously, we had a total of 52 employees from park maintenance that obviously assisted after that initial 10 or 12 hours, but I couldn't be much prouder of these guys. They did a great job. Crossed some boundaries, helped out some other departments with our equipment. Got top quality employees, and I couldn't be more proud of what they did.
Thank you.
Park maintenance.
Okay, Chief Taylor took a front row seat. We'll have him next, talk about police department.
You know, I'd like to give a special recognition to our patrol officers, our cops squad, and our motor squad. Those guys were excellent as a team during this incident. Those are the guys that really did the work out there for us, and I can't be more proud of them. They're the ones that make me look good, physically, of course, and I'm really proud of them. They work, like I said, very good as a team. The whole city works well as a team, and that made getting through this whole incident a whole lot. I know we didn't bring a whole lot of guys in, hard to get 150 guys in here because everybody on days off, and I know it's 200 guys. We worked out about 150 different guys on this thing, and they all did a fantastic job.
Thank you. You want to introduce your group?
We're all let them sound off.
Lieutenant Johnson.
Lieutenant Johnson. Officer Vanille. Officer Hopper.
Officer Gayton.
Officer Wayne.
Jeff Hooten.
They did a great job, and like fire, they were out in the teeth of it. They were, out on foot. And I think it is true. You let them park motorcycles and drive cars around. Notice they're the ones not here tonight. Okay, let's go to the fire department. Chief Greenlee.
Clark, who is always a great assistant to EOC. I got Engine 6, who actually put in a 48-hour stretch because they couldn't get home Monday morning, so they agreed to staff the wild injuries for me. So I've got Lieutenant Tony Robinson, Driver Ryan Caperton, and Jonathan Turden.
Thank you, Chief. Facilities, Jerry Danforth. These are the guys that spread all that by hand and carrying a shovel the whole time.
I'm really proud of our staff. We had all but 2 employees make it in. They live out of town, so they couldn't get in. So everybody responded quite well. I'd like to remodel the stand. As you can see, I just have 4 of my staff here with me. With Dennis Williams, one of my assistants. My direct assistant, Richard Howard. Brad is one of the guys that got stranded here in town, had to sleep in the facilities building overnight. We had several that got stranded. And then Kirk News, also one of my assistants. The guys did an excellent job. It was difficult. We were the ones on the ground, so the wind was really difficult to deal with. So they couldn't have done a better job as far as I was concerned.
Good, thank you. Mr. Rice, you want to come up and take us through the garage and the street department, please? Any others you might have with you?
Thank you, sir. It's my pleasure just to recognize my guys because they did a really good job. I'd like to start with the municipal garage. Glenn Howard, would y'all stand? This is my shop superintendent, his assistant, and the rest of the garage employees, if you'll stand with them. Please just identify yourself, please.
Brandon Moore.
Oliver Boyd, Municipal Garage.
David Ibarra, Municipal Garage. Tom Barkowski, Municipal Garage. Kay Bogart, Municipal Garage.
Y'all go ahead and have a seat. These guys did a fantastic job. They basically had the operations covered 24/7, make sure that the equipment was up and running. And they staffed beginning on Sunday. And they continued to work and make sure all the equipment was running. I'm very, very proud of them. And then also want to introduce the street department. First, I'm going to begin with the department head and his assistant. Chris and Lynn, would you please stand? This is Chris Mitchell, our street superintendent. And this is Lynn Hill, our assistant. These guys began at 10 o'clock on Sunday night, and they worked through this last Saturday moving snow. These guys did not stop. They actually helped solid waste all day Saturday, helping to clear alleys so we could go out and make sure everybody's trash got picked up at least once that week, which was a real struggle, but they were able to get that done. So if you're with the street department, would you please stand, please? Fantastic. Let's start over here. If you just identify yourself and what you do, please.
David Bourget, not supervisor. And David is foreman.
Dewey Mincy, supervisor.
Don Schiff, blade operator.
And once again, I mean, these guys did just, as you would say, a yeoman's job as far as making sure that the city was handled. 24 hours a day, did not stop until the snow was cleared from the arterials. We took a small break, and then we continued to come back even after Wednesday and continue to work ice and snow, and that's what you have today. So I'm very proud of them. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Emergency Communications Center, Judith and Terry.
Hi, I'm honored to be able to recognize some of our representatives. Terry Babasat, the Assistant Manager, Cammie Carter, Kaylin Vinson, Ben Carpenter, Amanda Elliott, and Landon Moreland, who's hiding back there because he's And I'd like to thank them for their hard work and those who weren't able to be here. They did such a good job that I had a pretty boring couple of days there during the blizzard.
Okay, Airport, Stephen, you here? PR.
Good evening, and thank you for allowing us to do this. Mr. Rhodes is traveling, so he's not able to be here tonight. But we brought Eric Ozier with us. Eric is our facilities manager. He maintained those snow plows. Go ahead and stand up, Eric. Eric basically kept us running. We talked about visibility being low. Eric and I were out on the airfield at 2 o'clock in the morning, and we were all over the runway, and that's a 300-foot wide runway, and we used all 300 foot of it to find our way through the snow. And thank you, Eric, and his guys. His guys did a great job, and we appreciate it. Thank you.
Stephen, thank you, appreciate it. Okay, did I miss anybody? I posted my list yet. Okay. Well, folks, I appreciate it personally, sitting around and, watching that and hearing those reports and knowing what y'all were out in. You did a job to put up against anybody anywhere in the country. Mayor, Commission?
Well, I'll kick this off. There's just no way words I could create to tell you how much we appreciate all your efforts. I mean, this was a tireless thing under the worst of conditions. That kind of snow and wind, and in a lot of instances, a lack of cooperation from the public because they would get out in it when we asked them not to. And all that did was just make your jobs harder. And I don't know how we'll ever overcome that. Instead of towing the car, set them on fire or something. I was there during the storm. So I got to be involved in some of the conference calls. And when Jared would go down the list of all the different departments and how they were doing in a progress report, what they needed, I mean, I was impressed with what they were getting done, but also impressed with the attitude with which they were doing it. There wasn't any whining and bitching and crying and moaning and finger pointing. And, I mean, you could tell it was a coordinated effort. And I jokingly said something about CNN calling me at 6:30. That was nothing compared to what you people did. I did that in the comfort of my home. And the dedication and the people Las Vegas and staying up all night. It was a hard effort, and Chief Taylor made some comment about making him look good. You folks are what makes us look good, but more especially makes the city of Amarillo look good. And no one, I have heard no complaints, and I would suggest that they don't address those complaints to me when I hear what you people have done. It's unbelievable, and I can't thank you enough, because I feel that the public probably will not express the thank you, but to get from where we were, let's say, Sunday evening, to where we were Wednesday evening, was just a miracle. So anyway, thank you.
Y'all are my heroes. I don't know if you've ever heard, but I always brag about city employees, and I won't ever stop bragging because you guys were fantastic. Jared would send us updates, and I'd keep looking at the television, and then I reminded myself I didn't have kids to help me dig out of the snow, so I was pretty helpless. But thank you all for what you do. This to me was just such a big thing that we could brag about our city employees doing what they're supposed to do and what they wanted to do, and all in coordination when different departments are working together. I'm all about working together. And you all did a fantastic job, and God gives and taketh away. He gave us all the snow, and then the winds came and sucked all the moisture out of the air the last couple of days. But it's hard to believe that we had that much snow when we look outside today. But thank you all very much, and thank your families, because I'm sure your families were concerned about you, and they were worried about you, and so give them our thanks for being there waiting for you with a hot cup of coffee and maybe a pot of soup or something when you got home. And again, thank you very much. We really appreciate what you do for the city of Amarillo and the citizens. As Jim mentioned, I have heard no one really complain about anything. If they complain, it's about the people that got on the streets when they shouldn't have been, not about how the snow was removed or anything. So again, thank you very much from the bottom of my heart.
I got a call on Tuesday morning early from a couple of physicians who were actually trying to get the intensive care unit at the VSA and had tried to leave Amarillo Boulevard West on an exit ramp and could not get to their patients, and there were problems. I actually called the city manager and the assistant city manager, Vicki Covey, and said, we've got a problem here. And I was amazed to find that within 15 minutes, they were dug out and were able to move their vehicles and get on down to their patients at the medical center. And there were numerous stories around the hospital that day about the amazing amount of snow, but the amazing response of the city that really almost did not impede our ability to take care of emergencies that they developed at the medical center that day. So you have no idea the reach of the good that you provided to the people of the city. So thank you.
I couldn't help but be struck when I was looking at all these pictures of not only the hard work that was going on here, but the dangerous work that was going on here. I don't know if anybody is old enough to remember, but in the 80s we lost a police officer, Delbert Miller, to the first snowstorm because he was run over on I-40 when he was directing traffic. And when I saw the police, especially the firefighters out there in the middle of all that traffic, I'm so thankful that you're here tonight and that everybody's okay. And this certainly isn't scientific evidence, but I've got like 900 friends on Facebook. And on Wednesday, I said something on Facebook like, have you been out on the streets? Can you believe what a great job the city has done? And I said, City of Amarillo employees rock. And I mean, a million thumbs up, just because everybody, I think, recognized the hard work that you all did, and we're all very thankful, and very thankful that you're here and safe.
Well, I hope you feel, pardon me, I hope you understand and feel how thankful we are and how proud we are of the work that you've done. And something occurred to me as these remarks were being made. You guys do this every day. I mean, maybe not remove 19 inches of wind-blown snow, but you work very hard, and you make Amarillo a wonderful place to live every day. And that's appreciated, and I mean that. So thank you for what you do, and a job well done. end up that part about the snow report?
Very, very close. I just had two items, that I would add. Several of the senior staff didn't get recognized today, but they were all involved all through the entirety. Rare that we get to say we covered everything from A to Z and really mean it, but through this storm we did. You talked to the airport today, all the way down to the zoo, something that I might miss if I didn't think about it. Clint and his group had to be sure the animals were fed, and that was not just at the zoo, but your animal control department had to keep the shelter up and running for those animals that were in there, so this was literally A to Z.
Okay, well, thanks once again. Well, that concludes our agenda for today's meeting. However, we always open it up for the public that might want to have some remarks, anything concerning city business. If they would. Yes, sir. Need your name and address, please.
Joe Moser again, 3703 South Harrison. After all that good news, I want to throw a little something mean at you. Folks, what do you say somebody introduce a motion to delete city sales tax on the tax that we pay on our Atmos energy bills? We pay a city sales tax on what's called a rider tax. Now, Atmos does not appear to want to tell us what the rider tax is. On the back of your statements, nearly every item is identified what it is. But the rider tax is not identified. Now, I have, after causing some static, found out what that rider tax is. And if you'll give me a moment, I'll read to you what, with the help of some folks at the finance department, they got an answer for me for what the rider tax actually is. That's on our Atmos energy bills. This information is from Atmos. Their response is the rider tax permits the company is Atmos Energy. The rider tax permits the company to recover, better put my glasses on. The rider tax permits the company to recover amounts remitted to the state of Texas for the state gross receipts tax. Now that's what the rider tax is. Atmos pays, or we pay the Atmos Energy's gross receipts tax on our gas bills. And then the city of Amarillo collects sales tax on that amount of money that we pay Atmos Energy to pay the state sales tax, or to pay their state receipts tax. Now, I know you folks have the ability to initiate tax. I'm sure you have the ability to rescind the tax. And we're taxing a tax is what it amounts to. And it's not a big item, but it's every little bit helps. Some folks didn't have to
Consider referring your question to our city manager, Mr. Atkinson.
Thank you, Mayor. Mr. Moser, the city, not just the city of Amarillo, no city in the state of Texas can choose what to exempt or not to exempt from a sales tax. That's controlled by the state of Texas.
I'm sorry, I didn't understand what you said when you said it.
The city doesn't have the power to exempt or not exempt something from the sales tax. The sales tax is established by the state. We get to choose what piece, if we want to. The state, it's 6.25 pennies out of the 8.25 pennies of the sales tax rate. But what is subject to the sales tax is not decided by the city, it's decided by the legislature.
Well, sir, if that's the case, I guess that there's not much we can do about it then. They pay it and hush up. But we pay sales tax on commodities, we pay sales tax on services, we pay sales tax on surcharges, we pay sales tax on fees. Now we're paying taxes on taxes. Aren't we kind of overdoing the tax thing?
Mr. Moser, which county do you live in?
Randall.
Yeah. Want to give a call to the Honorable John Smithy's office and see if he wants to tackle that one. Or Senator.
But anyway, looks like my 3 minutes is up, but if you can't do anything about it, I guess we can't. But it does sound ridiculous that we're paying taxes on taxes.
Thank you, sir. Is there anyone else who would like to address the commission? Well, this would conclude our meeting today, and once again, thank you so much to all you employees of the City of Joplin. Thank you. This meeting is adjourned.